Now, more good news for Donald Trump, and even NBC couldn't hide the truth behind this data. The last time so many Americans thought the country was headed in the right direction was more than 20 years ago.
First of all, the mood of the country, this really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004.
Joining me now is comedian and host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, this data is good news for Donald Trump. It looks like a low figure, 44%, but as you just heard there, it's been 21 years since Americans were so positive about the direction that country is headed in.
Well, Rita, I mean, I'm sure you can tell from Australia that we had a country with no hope. I mean, it was like a car with 4 flat tires. And now with Donald Trump as president, it's like we have a rocket engine. We're literally saving astronauts. So it's just the whole outlook for our country is much more positive now that we actually have a president that is, you know, coherent and making decisions that are in our country's best interest instead of having an actual puppet or, you know, for lack of a better word, just a walking corpse, sadly.
Let's hear now from Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick on what is the end goal of Trump's economic reforms.
$2 trillion deficits don't bother you at all. How could you ask me while we're running a $2 trillion deficit and not care? You're destroying the people who have run this country before. Are destroying the future for my children and my children's children. And when we balance the budget, you know what that means? That means our deficits stop. Interest rates come smashing down. How about no tax on tips? How about no tax on overtime? How about no Social Security? How about all those things? These are the kind of thoughts that will change America. I know what his goal is. No tax for anybody who makes less than $150,000 a year. That's his goal. And that's what I'm working for.
Alex, that's the first time I've heard that the end goal is no tax for anybody who's earning less than $150,000. He also made the point there that the US is the biggest consumer in the world, and it's time that they use that buying power to their advantage, to the advantage of American workers. And all of that must be music to the ears of American voters.
Oh, 100%, Rita, because now, listen, you look at our country, it's not the Americans' fault that our economy is the way that it is, our national debt is the way that it is. It's the fact that we have multinational corporations that can take advantage of us. They can use cheap labor in China, basically slave labor. And so the reason is the rules are not fair for these multinational corporations, and Donald Trump will actually create a system that holds these companies and these other countries accountable, and they'll have to pay their fair share. And that's why Donald Trump is going to be such a great president, because he's going to actually help us Americans be able to buy more, be able to finally afford a home, and actually make our middle class bigger, instead of what Biden has done for the past, 4 years, making it much, much smaller.
Now, we've seen Donald Trump say that Joe Biden's preemptive pardons were not valid. He argues the pardons are void because they were signed via an auto pen and that Biden did not even know about them or what they meant. President Trump wrote the necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. He also wrote, therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. Alex, is Liz Cheney in trouble? Are all the others that he's referring to there in trouble? Can a presidential pardon be vacated?
Well, Liz Cheney should be in trouble, but I think the idea that they can be vacated is almost impossible, because I believe it was Gerald Ford, when he pardoned President Nixon, that a lot of people were upset about that and tried to get that pardon vacated, and they were unable to do so. So I think if they're not able to do it in that case, then sadly The Biden administration was able to use an auto pen to get out corrupt judges that arrested children and took bribes to put these young kids in jail. I mean, some of the most repugnant criminals, people that were, child predators, let out by the Biden administration. There's just no excuse for it. And really, honestly, I'm happy that I know this information because it makes me even more empathetic to Joe Biden. And it just confirms what we all knew, that he was not in charge of anything and that there is a deep state, or there were people that were making the decisions for him the entire time.
I'm wondering who you suspect is responsible for Joe Biden's decisions, because, of course, we've talked at length about Biden's term being Obama's third term, but who within his inner sanctum was really making those calls? Was it Jill Biden? Did we have our first female president without even knowing?
Maybe. I mean, maybe it was Jill Biden, but the person that was making the decisions was probably the same person that left the cocaine in the White House. It was probably that same person, Rita, if I had to speculate.
The person with the 18, I think, Secret Service agents, which have already been removed while this program has been happening. Apparently, Donald Trump has pulled those Secret Service agents so Hunter Biden can look after himself. Alex, let's have a look now at Benny Johnson interviewing folk about Black Lives Matter. This is shortly after BLM Plaza in DC was torn down.
What has Black Lives Matter done for you?
That's a strong question for you to ask. Especially me. What Yachty say? All they did was buy mansions.
Little Yachty is a rapper, and he's out saying like they bought a bunch of mansions.
BLM was literally a scam. They had bought mansions and.
No, that's definitely a scam, 100%.
Yeah. 7 mansions is not the best use of $100 million.
Do you see any of that money?
No.
Did they ever reach out to you and say, "Hey, you're a veteran, we can help you"?
Never.
They raised $100 million. Did you see any of that?
Do we ever see any of it?
I ain't see shit of it.
The $100 million has not benefited the black community.
Alex, was there much fallout from the decision to tear down BLM Plaza? We saw some wild emoting in the usual places, the Washington Post and the New York Times, the painful destruction of Black Lives Matter Plaza, and Black Lives Matter Plaza is gone. Its erasure feels symbolic. But beyond that, I didn't see much fallout, not many protests, not many people making a big deal out of it.
Well, you saw everybody that Benny spoke to. Little Yachty basically just exposed it. He kind of put the final nail in the BLM coffin that this was a money laundering or Ponzi scheme for Patricia Cullors and her family that were able to buy mansions with this money. And seriously, if the African-American community actually benefited from all the donations from BLM, people would love that. But that's not what happened. The black community were used as a prop in order to raise money. And where that money went, some say that it went to people's, private mansions. Some say that it went to the Biden campaign. So all I know is that marginalized black people in America did not have access to all the money that was supposed to be raised for them. So it was a scam, and now it's been exposed, and it's it feels kind of good to just be able to move on and start a whole new trajectory for helping out the marginalized under Donald Trump, not taking advantage of them to raise money to help out the Biden crime family.
Now, at the very top of our chat, you mentioned astronauts being rescued. I've been shocked by how little coverage this has received. You would think this would be a momentous occasion. These 2 astronauts stranded in space, and Elon Musk has successfully brought them home safe and sound. And it seems to be now more reporting on, whether they were grateful to be rescued or not, or whether they were doing important work whilst they were stranded. I'm shocked that this isn't something that's bringing the country together.
Well, Rita, it should, but you know why that they were left in space is because Joe Biden didn't want to give Elon Musk a win. He didn't want to make Elon Musk look like a hero, considering Elon Musk and Donald Trump had become good friends. So they were left in space for political reasons. I mean, Joe Biden literally, instead of deporting illegal immigrants, he deported 2 astronauts and made them live on the International Space Station for 8 months. He's doing it wrong. The Americans are supposed to stay in America, President Biden.
Oh, that is hilarious. But you know what? Elon Musk, I think, is copping even more hate and vitriol and just completely demented commentary from segments of the media than even Donald Trump at the moment. I've, again, been shocked by a man who is, essentially a businessman doing a role assigned to him, being treated like he's, I don't know, some sort of war criminal. It's absurd, but it gives us something to laugh about. Alex Stein, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Rita. Talk to you again soon.